When faith becomes the only way forward, welcome to Soft Girl Era, the sacred space where strong Black women unlearn survival, rediscover softness, and reclaim the joy, rest, and freedom they deserve without guilt, without apology, and without explanation. I'm your host, LeAnne Dolce, pronounced Dolice, like sweet softness whispered in French. And I'm your guide from burnout to boundaries, from doing to being, from strong to soft, and loving every second of it. Today, I had the profound honor of sitting down with Teko Davis, a voice of truth, resilience, and unwavering faith. Teko is someone who has walked through the fire and emerged not just intact, but transformed, using their story to light the way for others. Their work is rooted in the belief that no matter how far you've fallen, faith and God's love can restore and transform your life. Teko's impact reaches far beyond their own journey. They've become a beacon for those navigating the darkest valleys, proving that redemption isn't just a concept, it's a lived reality. And sis, that's exactly the kind of energy we need in this soft girl era. So let's talk about something we don't always say out loud. Let's talk about what happens when life doesn't just knock you down, but drags you through the mud, leaves you gasping for air, and makes you wonder if you'll ever stand again. Let's talk about faith, not the Sunday morning kind, but the kind that shows up when everything else has walked out the door, the kind that makes you question everything you thought you knew about strength, about God, about yourself. Because here's the truth: faith isn't always easy, it's not always comfortable, and it definitely doesn't always make sense. But when you're at rock bottom, when the weight of the world has crushed your spirit and stolen your joy, faith becomes the only way forward. And that's what Teko Davis reminded me of in our conversation. That's what I want to share with you today. Let me tell you about Marvin Sapp. If you don't know his name, you've probably heard his voice. A gospel singer, chart topping artist, bishop, and a man who has touched millions with his music. But before all of that, before the accolades and the albums, Marvin faced a loss so devastating it nearly destroyed him. His wife, Melinda, passed away from cancer. And in the aftermath of that grief, Marvin found himself spiraling into depression and substance abuse. He was a single father trying to hold it together for his kids, trying to keep his career afloat, trying to keep his faith intact. But the truth is, he was falling apart. And here's what I love about Marvin's story: he didn't pretend he had it all together. He didn't put on a cape and act like he was fine. He didn't stand in front of his congregation and declare victory while his soul was screaming for help. No, he leaned into his faith, even when it hurt. He sought counseling. He surrounded himself with a church community that held him up when he couldn't stand on his own. And slowly, painfully, beautifully, he found healing. Marvin's journey wasn't linear. There were days when the grief felt like it would swallow him whole. There were nights when the addiction whispered lies that felt more comforting than the truth. But he kept showing up. He kept praying. He kept trusting that God had not abandoned him, even when it felt like everything had. And eventually, Marvin rebuilt his career. He became a powerful advocate for faith based recovery. He released chart topping gospel albums. He became a bishop, and he used his story to uplift others, to remind them that healing is possible, that faith can carry you through the impossible. Marvin's openness about his struggles has inspired countless people facing grief and addiction to seek help and trust in God. And that's the first thing Teko Davis wants you to remember. Faith in God can lead to healing and transformation even after experiencing the deepest hardships. Trusting God is essential, especially when life feels impossible. Now, I know some of you are sitting there thinking, but LeAnne, I've tried faith. I've prayed, I've believed, and nothing changed. And sis, I hear you, I see you. But here's the thing: faith isn't a magic wand. It's not a quick fix. It's not a transaction where you put in a prayer and get out a miracle. It's a process, it's a daily decision to trust God even when you can't see the way forward. It's choosing to believe that healing is possible even when the pain feels permanent. It's waking up every single day and saying, God, I don't understand this, but I trust you. And sometimes the hardest part of faith is admitting that we've been ignoring God's guidance. We've been running from his voice. We've been doing things our way, and it's led us straight into chaos. That's the second thing Teko Davis wants you to remember. Ignoring God's guidance can have profound consequences, but redemption and restoration are always possible when we choose to listen and follow his direction. Let me introduce you to Cheryl Strayed, author of the best-selling memoir Wild, which was later adapted into an Oscar-nominated film. But before the book deals in the Hollywood spotlight, Cheryl was homeless. She was addicted to heroin. She had lost her mother, and in the grief and pain of that loss, she lost herself. She was in a crisis of faith and identity, wandering through life with no direction, no hope, no sense of who she was or who she was meant to be. Cheryl's descent wasn't sudden. It was a slow unraveling, a series of choices that seemed small at the time, but compounded into a life she barely recognized. She ignored the quiet whispers of her intuition, the gentle nudges toward healing, the soft calls toward something greater. And the further she ran, the more lost she became. Until one day, she looked in the mirror and didn't recognize the woman staring back at her. And then she made a decision. She embarked on a solo hike along the Pacific Crest Trail, over 1,000 miles of rugged terrain with nothing but a backpack and a desperate need to find herself again. And on that trail, in the silence and the solitude, Cheryl reconnected with herself and with a higher power. She surrendered. She let go of the need to control everything. She trusted in something greater than herself. And that surrender, that willingness to listen, guided her recovery. Cheryl's journey on the trail was brutal. She faced physical exhaustion, emotional breakdowns, moments of doubt so profound she almost turned back. But she kept walking. She kept listening. She kept surrendering. And with every step, she reclaimed a piece of herself. She achieved sobriety. She found emotional healing. She became a best selling author and motivational speaker. And her story has empowered countless people to face their own demons and trust in the possibility of redemption. Because here's the truth, sis. When we ignore God's guidance, when we run from his voice, we end up lost. But when we choose to listen, when we choose to follow, redemption and restoration are always possible. Always. No matter how far you've wandered, no matter how deep the pit, no matter how long you've been running, God is still calling you back. Now let's talk about Lecrae. Grammy-winning rapper, author, and one of the most powerful voices in faith-based mental health advocacy. Lecrae has been open about his battles with depression, addiction, and the impact of childhood trauma. He faced the pressures of fame, the weight of unresolved pain, and the stigma of mental health struggles in the Black community. And for years, he ran from his pain. He buried it, he ignored it, he tried to outwork it, outperform it, outhustle it. Lecrae's story is one so many of us can relate to. He thought if he just achieved enough, if he just built a big enough platform, if he just helped enough people, the pain would go away. But pain doesn't work like that. Pain doesn't respect your accolades. It doesn't care about your Grammy nominations or your album sales. It sits in the shadows waiting for a quiet moment to remind you it's still there. But eventually the pain caught up with him. And when it did, Lecrae made a choice. He turned to faith. He turned to therapy. He turned to community support. He advocated for mental health awareness and spiritual healing. And he used his platform to encourage others to seek help and trust in God's healing. After years of running from his pain, Lecrae's decision to listen to God's call led to his personal and professional renewal. He published a memoir, I Am Restored, and became a leading voice for faith based mental health advocacy. Lecrae's vulnerability has helped destigmatize mental health struggles and inspired many to pursue faith driven recovery. He stood on stages and said the things we're afraid to say. He admitted he wasn't okay. He shared his therapy sessions, his breakdowns, his moments of doubt. And in doing so, he gave permission to thousands of others to do the same. And that's the third thing Teko Davis wants you to remember. Your story and your struggles have power. By sharing openly and honestly, you can inspire others to find hope, faith, and the courage to overcome their own trials. Because here's what I've learned, sis: your story matters, your pain matters, your healing matters. And when you share your story, when you speak your truth, you give someone else permission to do the same. You remind them that they're not alone. You show them that healing is possible. You become a living testament to the power of faith and the grace of God. So let me ask you this: where in your life are you ignoring God's guidance? Where are you running from his voice? Where are you trying to do it all on your own, carrying a cape you were never meant to wear? Because, sis, it's time to put that cape down. It's time to stop pretending you have it all together. It's time to lean into your faith even when it's hard, even when it hurts, even when it doesn't make sense. Teko Davis shared with me that they want you to reflect on where you may be ignoring God's guidance in your own life and to take one bold step toward trusting God, whether that's seeking support, sharing your story, or simply choosing faith over fear in a difficult moment. Just one step. That's all it takes. One bold, brave, beautiful step toward healing. And I know it's scary. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it feels like you're stepping off a cliff into the unknown. But, sis, that's where the magic happens. That's where the transformation begins. That's where you discover that faith isn't just something you believe in, it's something you live. It's something you breathe. It's something that carries you when your own strength runs out. So here's what I need you to do right now in this very moment. I want you to take a deep breath. I want you to close your eyes for just a moment. And I want you to ask yourself, what is God calling me to do right now? What is he asking me to release? What is he asking me to trust him with? And then I want you to take one step, just one. Reach out to a counselor, join a support group, share your story with a trusted friend. Choose faith over fear in that difficult decision you've been avoiding. Write that thing you've been too scared to write. Say that thing you've been too afraid to say. Whatever it is, take the step. Because here's the truth: no matter how far you've fallen, no matter how deep the pain, no matter how long you've been running, faith and God's love can restore and transform your life. Redemption is always possible. Healing is always within reach. And your story, your struggles, your journey, they have power. They have purpose. They have the ability to change someone's life. Marvin Sapp found healing after devastating loss. Cheryl Strayed found redemption after addiction and homelessness. Lecrae found restoration after years of running from his pain. And you, sis, you can find it too. You can find healing. You can find peace. You can find the softness, the rest, the joy that you've been searching for. But it starts with faith. It starts with trust. It starts with one bold step. The world needs your story. The world needs your voice. The world needs the version of you that's been healed, restored, and walking in faith. So stop hiding, stop running, stop pretending. Take the step. Trust God. Share your story. And watch as He transforms your life in ways you never thought possible. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your invitation to step into the fullness of who you were created to be. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until you feel ready. Take the step now. Because faith, real faith, doesn't wait for certainty. It moves in the uncertainty, it rises in the chaos, it shines in the darkness, and it's calling you forward right now, today. Will you answer?